I wasn't sure what had drawn me into that steel-scented hangar beneath the Somme lines, whether it was curiosity, duty, or the hollow promise of victory. I remember the lantern's flicker, the metallic echo of boots on concrete, and the distant thrum of artillery. My name is Lieutenant James Caldwell, Royal Engineers, and this is my testimony, if testimony it can be called. We arrived at the laboratory on the 12th of October, 1917, sent by GHQ to investigate whispered reports of a walking corpse. The lab sat beneath an abandoned railway embankment, camouflaged by tarps and barbed wire. Inside, rows of wooden tables bore mechanisms of brass gears and clock springs, alongside surgical instruments stained brown with age. The head engineer, Colonel Hawthorne, greeted us with sunken eyes and trembling hands. "We hoped you'd never come," he said, voice cracking like old wood. He introduced me to Captain Lionel Royce, a surgeon who looked as though he'd not slept in weeks. "We lost so many good men," Royce murmured, staring at a crumpled photograph of Private Wallace, his friend killed at Ypres. "If we could bring them back." He trailed off, eyes distant. 2 mornings later, they unveiled their first subject, a corporal who'd taken a shell fragment to the chest body. Laid out on a cold slab, limbs slack, the engineers fitted his shattered ribs with brass frames, threading wound springs through his spine and clockwork pistons at his elbows and knees. Wires snaked beneath his skin, leading to a wind-up key beneath his skull. The moment of truth came when Royce cranked the handle. A soft click, a sudden jolt, and the corporal's chest rose in a ragged gasp. His one good eye snapped open clear blue, shining with confusion, and then he sat bolt upright, limbs clicking and whirring. I remember the clatter as he swung his legs over the table. "Easy, lad," Royce whispered, holding up a gloved hand, but the corporal lurched forward, gears grinding. He sniffed the air, face contorting into a silent scream. Then he turned on Colonel Hawthorne, snapping the surgeon's outstretched wrist like a brittle branch. I fired twice, but my bullets pinged harmlessly off brass plating. We fled as alarms blared. Echoing down the corridors, the living automaton pursued us, every footstep a metallic clang. We barricaded ourselves in a storeroom, breathing dust and gears. Through the cracks in the door, I heard the corpse's whine, half human, half machine, pleading with its one living eye. "Why won't you let me live?" When dawn broke, we found the operating theater a scene of carnage. Bodies strewn, twisted in unnatural angles, copper coils snaking through pool of blood. The original corporal lay curled at the far end, springs unwinding, his face frozen in terror. Hawthorne and Royce were nowhere to be seen. At dawn on the 14th of October, GBHQ ordered us to terminate the project. Major Sinclair, a stern intelligence officer, arrived with a demolition squad. "This stops today," he decreed. He found Hawthorne's journal in a cluttered desk drawer, sketches of skeletal frames, notes on spring tension, and a line scrawled in crimson ink. "The breath of life is only a twist away." That night, Sinclair led us back into the labyrinthine tunnels to destroy the clockwork bodies. We carried satchel charges, bracing each against the wooden stands where corpses lay in neat rows. In the flickering lamplight, I saw each figure slumped like marionettes, whose strings had been cut, brass fittings gleaming like cursed metals. As we wired the last charge, a low moan drifted from the far corner. A new prototype still draped in our dead, untested flesh rose to its feet, eyes glowing with a malevolent spark. Sinclair barked orders, but our rifles clicked on empty chambers. The thing moved with jerky precision, knees telescoping, arms cocking. It lifted its hand in a grotesque imitation of a wave, gears grinding like tortured joints. "Let's go," Sinclair shouted. We retreated just as the hangar erupted in fire and splinters. The shockwave hurled us against the brick wall, ears ringing. When I crawled back through the dust, all that remained was wreckage. Molten metal fused to broken bone. A single winding key spinning slowly on the floor. I thought it over, staring at that key in my palm. The promise of reversing death, the flicker of life in that wounded eye, it all haunted me. My orders were clear: destroy every body, bury every document. But what if the key still worked? What if I could save just one? I knew I was already too late. On the 2nd of November, under cover of moonless night, I returned alone. The tunnel entrance lay buried beneath fresh earth. I dug with my hands until my nails bled, uncovering the hatch. Inside, the darkness pulsed with the hiss of cooling metal. My lamp revealed twisted remains, but there, sitting atop a splintered table, was a single corpse. Captain Royce, preserved in oil and grime, gears intact, key in place. His face was peaceful, eyes closed as though sleeping. I hesitated only a moment before grasping the key. A single turn, tentative, almost reverent. Then his eyelids fluttered. He breathed a whisper, "James?" And I saw the man I'd known, unbroken by gears. I stuttered an apology, tears pooling in my throat. He sat upright, joints squeaking as he swung his legs over the table. For a heartbeat, I saw hope. Then his pupils narrowed. His jaw worked as though compelled. He stared past me, head tilting in that jerky, mechanical fashion. I followed his gaze and saw a pit of shattered bodies beyond. The corpses stirred, as though awakened by his breath, by the same foul wind that moved clocks. Royce rose unsteadily, then turned to me, face strangely blank. "Why did you abandon me?" he asked, voice a hollow gear click. My pistol felt useless in my hand. I had no choice, I whispered. He stepped forward, each footfall a wooden rat's tail creeping on glass. "You chose to let me die," he said. Then, with a sudden jerk, he seized the lantern, crushing it in his hand. Flame licked out, and I turned to run, slipping over coils of wire, tearing through splintered benches. The hatch lay open ahead, a narrow escape. But before I could climb through, I heard his voice, a distorted echo. "Promise you'll finish what you started." That morning, Dawn found me at GHQ, uniform ripped, face blackened by sweat. They asked what happened. I lied, saying the charges failed, the lab compromised. I was sent to a court-martial. They'll strip me of rank, send me to the front. I'll walk those trenches until the clock stops. I carry the key in my pocket. It ticks sometimes, though there is no spring. At night, I dream of Royce's face halting, hollow, begging for justice. I know what they'll ask. Did you destroy everything? And I will keep silent, because some promises, once wound, cannot be unwound. And because I fear what waits in the dark when the key returns to silence. I fear what will stir in those shattered halls beneath the Somme, calling my name, asking me to finish the job I started, and to let the Clockwork Corpses walk again.